in New York. But again, I in my lifetime, the only exposure I've had to this kind of serialized storytelling in radio format is things that my grandmother, may she rest in peace, used to tell me about when she had the radio when she was a kid. But that was when there was no TV. And so radio not only was an appointment event kind of situation, it was a community thing. The whole household would gather around the radio. And I mean, just think about that now. You know, you have people have a screen in front of them showing them picture, and they'll revert to these other little screens and do their own thing while they're kind of listening to that. But back then, when nobody had that and the only thing was the radio in the middle of the room making all the sound, that everybody would be sitting there imagining the thing together, you know. And again, they might not all be seeing exactly the same thing, but they all knew the Shadow was the good guy, and they all thought it was cool when he would fight the bad guys. I mean, building fights with just sound is crazy. That's been an interesting challenge, and I think in some ways it's been pretty successful. But as anybody who was stuck around for the sort of after show of Sunday, the most recent episode 3, even, you know, Samson was going like, oh yeah, you know, it's a lot of punching sound effects, dude. Hey, so I wrote another audio drama too. Like, oh, okay, great, awesome. Is everyone going to do this now? Is that where we're okay? Hey, I'll take it. I'll do it. I'll take it.
I'll be honest, I've heard of at least another one in the group.
Besides Samson's and yours and mine? Oh, wow. Well, all right. I
noticed we weren't invited to be a part of that one, though.
Wait, are you saying nobody's inviting me?
Yeah, nobody's invited me to be a part of that one.
Yeah, oh well, I guess they're officially being competition then.
Yeah.
They're going to try anyway.
Yeah, it's always worth a try, isn't it?
If you want to waste your time and effort, by all means.
If you want to be in something written by someone who's never written before, good for you.
That too. Dude, nothing like an amateur writer.
Yeah.
It's always the best. The best. If they're amateur writing, amateur producing, and amateur directing, it's like the best combo you can get.
Yeah. It's pretty much every U-Ball movie.
Yeah, man. Postal wasn't horrible, though. I actually enjoyed some of Postal.
I'm going to enjoy, like, watching his last ever movie. Just because I'll know it's his last one.
Has he said what it's going to be? Like, do you know... Is there a sign? Is there a prophesied sign for the last Uwe Boll film?
I presume it's going to be a snuff movie.
Oh, my God. I wouldn't put it past him. That would be awesome. I mean, not awesome, but, you know, awesome.
Yeah, just like killing his harshest critic over his entire career.
My God, dude. That whole thing when he put out a video. So wait, there was a petition started for him to never make a movie again. And he got super pissed about it. So he put out his own petition to make a movie again, and it got like less than a quarter of the signatures that the never make a movie. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how do you... At some point, you take the high road and be like, well, I made some money, so fuck all this. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, what's it really about? You know, I mean... I get that, you know, there's the art and stuff, but once you've turned it into a job and, you know, that's like where you're not allowed to start getting pissed about people not liking your stuff, you know, like that's where you have to be like, fuck it. Some of this is just for the money. Some of it is because I'm going to try something, and some of it, whatever, man, maybe I do suck. Maybe I just shouldn't write these kinds of movies anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you should have tried to write something that wasn't a video game originally.
What was his first thing? Was it Blood Rain his first?
I think so, yeah.
Because that was a pretty cool game for a minute. For like a day. after you play through like 2 maps, you're like, okay, this is the whole thing. Got it. Guess that should have been a sign. This is the movie you decided to make? The where the video game is literally the whole game, the whole thing is the same thing. All right. Well, we'll see. He kind of makes fun of himself though in the one scene in Postal where he's being interviewed. Right.
Yeah.
but it doesn't go well. It's very like there's a lot of Holocaust jokes in there. Like what the okay. I guess this will help the situation.
Well, they say controversy helps, but then he looks like someone that would make Holocaust jokes, so it's not really controversial.
Yeah. It looks like he's got the swastika T-shirt on underneath the sweatshirt. You know.
It looks like he's got it tattooed on himself somewhere.
Yeah, and it's just like waiting to sneak out, like when he goes to shake somebody's hand, you know, like as if the tattoo could move and just jump out for a second, be like, "Hi, fuckers! You know, I've been here the whole time." Stupid shits! Why do you not think this? Why do you not think this already?
Yep, this is the type of way you like to open a show, is to basically call someone out for being a Nazi with no proof.
I think he's the proof. You see him. He practically, that section, because that comes out of nowhere, really. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're making fun of the Muslim terrorists in the beginning of that movie. But yeah, that comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh yeah, here, I'll pay you in gold." And he pulls out like a bag of teeth and like screws and shit from, you know, like, oh my God, dude, that's so wrong. Like, it's so fucked up. Apparently, there were a lot of people who got that joke. A lot of them are in the south of the American United States of America right now.
Yeah,
fucking great.
A lot of them vote for a political party in the UK called UKIP.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow, UKIP, huh?
Yeah, United Kingdom Independence Party. Yeah, I don't know who they're trying to be independent from, to be honest.
Are they the ones who have socially engineered Brexit? Are they part of the Illuminati? They're the street level Illuminati. Great. They're everywhere.
Led by a guy who was a member of the European Parliament.
Well, there you go. He loves Guy Fawkes Day.
Yeah. Genius. Anyway, we're here to talk about writing, not who's a Nazi. Because if we stick on that topic, I'm sure we'd get in trouble.
True. Because do pirates count as Nazis, or do they ever cross into that territory? I'm sure.
Well, they both like those like skull and bones symbols, I guess.
And they both take people's stuff that's not theirs and try to claim that they're superior.
And make propaganda videos.
Yeah. Oh, look at this shit! Look what we're figuring out. Sometimes it's not that hard.
And to have dodgy facial hair.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Well, that's what I've got going on as well. This is one of the cons or pros, depending on if you like the look of writing and producing.
For some reason, when I lean towards my camera, I become very ginger. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Back off. Brown hair like normal. Ginger. What the fuck is that?
It's a David Lynch computer camera. It's a David Lynch webcam. There's two Drews at the same time. See, this is the fun part of writing. You just make shit up, and all of a sudden, it's happening. It's part of the situation now.
So, how did you start writing Tangent City? What was it that sparked the initial concept?
Tangent City. Well, we were doing so many podcasts. We still are. It's not like Hollow 9 is suddenly not doing a bunch of podcasts. We have just a shit ton of RSS feeds. And we were going to do another one, and I was like, well, how do we make this one different? I don't want to just do another talk show that is just about a single TV show, or it's just like a catch-all so we could just get on the mic and talk about whatever. And I was like, well, what if it's like supposed to be all being recorded in this place? That sort of mirrors our reality like Black Mirror does, but it's a place where it could be almost, I'd been listening to, Welcome to Night Vale. That was pretty much one of the only audio dramas I'd listened to previous to this. And, but it's also kind of something we had done before a long time ago on Hollow 9. We would have these random sort of non sequitur dramatic scenes, like just like a couple cops talking. In fact, we kind of had one of the scenes, and it was always in my mind akin to like MTV, because MTV would have random non sequitur shit all the time, and it just became part of like the sort of collection of what made MTV. So we had these two cops, and they're talking about like, hey, yeah, there's a body full of hollow 9-point gunshot wounds, and the other guy goes, oh, he's full of hollow nines, huh? And boom, we cut to like the smash cut to the music, and now we're talking about, you know, Beyonce or Jay-Z or whatever the fuck we were talking about that week. But it was just like little shit like that, and it never really got anywhere, even though we were sort of moving at one point into doing full episodes of that. But it was very hard. The people I was working with at the time were not artists on the same in the same genre. They were, you know, we all were sort of more just the friends who used to hang out. And I guess I was like sort of the movie guy out of that group. You know, there were one guy was a hip hop artist. We had a couple musicians. One guy was more of a sports guy. So when it came time to have to try to pull something together like what we have now with Tangent City, just the number of people. Tangent City has, I think, 26 people in the cast right now, and it's always expanding because there's always new characters every scene. Pretty much every time we write a new scene, there's fucking new people because it's a city. It's full of people. You can't just be the same 5 people constantly, although maybe that would have been a smarter way to do it. I don't know. I'll be second guessing myself forever probably on Tangent City, but yeah, so it was an effort to kind of bring back that non sequitur scene. So originally, Tangent City was just supposed to have like an opening narrator and the sort of car driving into the city feeling, and then that was supposed to come back at the end as we're leaving the city, and then the whole time in the middle was just almost stuff like this, where 2-3 people talking about movies, talking about TV shows, talking about trends, talking about politics, talking about like pretty much whatever we wanted. And we actually wound up recording 6 or 7 hours of that content, talk show content like that. But as I started writing these scenes, some of them start to have like characters that were sort of starting to emerge that would be like, oh, it'd be fun to see them do a couple things, you know? And then after a while I was like, well, it can't just be me doing all these random voices. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to feel like a city. So I figured, you know, I've been hanging out with all these podcasters, and I'm in the Terra Firma Artists Union. There's a lot of podcasters and other artists hanging out there. So I figured, let's see if anybody wanted to kind of jump in and do this big experiment with me. And then also, you know, having Jennifer Cifuentes as part of the situation, she's like a driving force all in herself. And, so she gets like so many props, not only for the way the website looks and for the fact that we have such searchability on Google because she's an SEO whiz, but also the fact that her kids are in the industry. They're working actors. They worked on Stranger Things. Her son shot on Avengers. You know, there's a lot of knowledge she brings to the table, and they bring to the table a lot of creativity. And once they started to see and hear some of the scenes, because I did things like the Food Lodge scene, the very first Food Lodge scene, the first Night Eyes promo, and I'm trying to think what the third thing I did was. I did like 2 or 3 little pieces like that at the very beginning and started sharing those with people. And when people reacted to those, then I was like, okay, I should probably keep writing more of these. And originally when I went to write the first narration, I wrote like 2. And I was like, all right, I'll alternate between these 2, and we'll do, I don't know how many episodes a season. It wasn't defined at the time. And then I wrote a third one. And then I was talking to Jennifer. I'm like, all right, so I wrote 3. Should I rotate between these 3 and every 3 episodes? You know what I mean? It's almost like it becomes a cycle. And she's like, well, why don't you see if you could write 9? And I was like, all right, if we're going to do 9, that's the end of the season. The 9-episode season, we'll have it mirroring the fact that we're Hollow 9. And then it'll be a matter of just kind of figuring out how much story we could pack into 9 episodes. I thought an hour was ambitious, and it is, but so far we've been able to hit it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's definitely a little bit of Tetrising of the story, you know, trying to see, all right, well, what needs to happen now? What's a cool idea that we may be able to come to later? And if we're going to come to that later, what do we have to seed now? And then I do want there to be an element of randomness with some stuff that'll just show up once and then go away, or something that just kind of gives character or a little bit more depth to the world. So a lot of season 1 is building the world, but it's a world where a lot of things can happen. So that's kind of what I hope people are picking up from it out there.
Yeah, you were mentioning the way you were writing there. I'm doing, obviously, an audio drama as well, and I have like a 4-season story arc, so I know where things are going to end up at the end of that 4th season, and I'm building bits backwards.
Hmm.
So there's stuff that might not make sense in season one that will then make sense in season two. Are you finding that process tricky to uh, knit together as if it's like a fucking quilt or something? Shit
Yeah.
metaphor, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely one of the things I actually have admired a lot about shows like Lost and Heroes. Now, I'm not saying both of those shows are all the shows that followed in their footsteps, like Fringe and all the other attempted clones of that sort of formula. I'm not saying they were perfect or that they did it well all the time, but the times they did it well, it was awesome. But I was always really intimidated by trying to write something like that, trying to write something that has all these sort of interlocking parts that have that, oh, it's going to pop up in season one because chronologically that makes sense, but it's not going to make any sense in the context of the story. But there's this thing that maybe the second half of season two will suddenly make that make sense as long as everybody remembers it. And I think one of the things that's hard about audio drama, which very clearly for me is an attempt at making a movie without picture, just because it's a lot cheaper than trying to make a full-on movie. Hopefully, if just the idea is cool enough, maybe someone out there will be like, hey, let's angel invest in some shit here and let's bring this to the next level, because it definitely, in my mind, and a lot of the people who are working on it are saying this to me more than I'm saying it to myself, and I'm trying to maybe do them a little justice and pay them more respect by starting to say it out loud, because that whole concept of what you say out loud, you sort of manifest into your world. But it has the potential to exist in other formats, and I think be as cool, if not cooler, than it is in the podcast right now. I think with the podcast, we're just sort of seeing what we can do with a medium that has, in recent years, fallen into this weird mix, like a soup almost, of strange, pointless talk shows strictly about TV shows and serving sort of fandom and nerddom, audiences. And then there's your whole DIY guru self-help, fucking pay me to sit here and talk to you about how you're living your life wrong and how some stranger in another country is fucking telling you how to live your life. You pay them for that. That's a weird thing that, of all the places I ever thought podcasting would go, I didn't think it would go that way. So it's been a little fun trying to kind of bring it back more into this world of, entertainment and fantasy, and, what you do with some sound effects and what other people's imaginations do when they hear them could be two very different things. But the fact that they are working together and people are liking the story makes it kind of an interesting and fun experiment.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK, the BBC on their radio station, they have a lot of kind of like plays get done like how we're doing it, but it's like one-off stories. There's not many serialized, other than the only one I can think of is a show called The Archers that's been on the fucking radio for like 40 years.
Yeah, you guys do that over there. You're the home of Doctor Who and shit, where this thing like been existing for the better half of a century, and to the point where even some of the original masters are just gone, and they have some audio recordings from the radio simulcast that people have animated to and shit. I mean, that's, you guys have history going way back. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're going way back to the 80s with the morning radio shows in New York. But again, I in my lifetime, the only exposure I've had to this kind of serialized storytelling in radio format is things that my grandmother, may she rest in peace, used to tell me about when she had the radio when she was a kid. But that was when there was no TV. And so radio not only was an appointment event kind of situation, it was a community thing. The whole household would gather around the radio. And I mean, just think about that now. You have people have a screen in front of them showing them picture, and they'll revert to these other little screens and do their own thing while they're kind of listening to that. But back then, when nobody had that and the only thing was the radio in the middle of the room making all the sound, that everybody would be sitting there imagining the thing together, and again, they might not all be seeing exactly the same thing, but they all knew the Shadow was the good guy, and they all thought it was cool when he would fight the bad guys. I mean, building fights with just sound is crazy. That's been an interesting challenge, and I think in some ways it's been pretty successful, but as anybody who was stuck around for the sort of after show of Sunday, the most recent episode 3, even Samson was going like, oh yeah, it's a lot of punching sound effects, dude. It's like, yeah, all right, well, a lot of people punch each other. What do you want me to do? But I hear what he's saying though, and that's a very big concern. Is this all going to just be like a one note? Like, okay, great, we could do a lot of cars, we could do a lot of gunshots, we could do a lot of punching, a lot of footsteps, a lot of zippers, but what else? When you have somebody like who's supposed to be conjuring up a different outfit because they're a ghost discovering special powers, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, cartoons used to have clouds and smoke and sometimes a lightning strike for magic shit, and before it just some kind of weird wind chimey kind of thing. And when it's you've got that, the music and the kids doing the dialogue, and it all just mixes together, it's like eating a roll of sushi. Like I would never just pick up a piece of raw tuna just by itself and eat it, but when you roll it up with a piece of avocado and some brown rice and some I hate cucumber, but it's always in there, and you dip that shit in some soy sauce, it's amazing. So that's kind of what getting the mix right and finishing an edit kind of feels like. It's like I just rolled some sushi.
Yeah, and the thing that people kind of forget about when they watch a movie is a good, I would say 60% of what makes a movie successful is the sound work. You have shit Foley work on a movie, it really takes you out of it.
It shows, yeah. I remember there's a movie called Suicide Kings with Christopher Walken and Dennis Leary and Sean Patrick Flannery, Elliot from E.T. There's a whole bunch of people, and Jay Moore. A lot of people are in this movie, Jeremy Sisto. And they, on the DVD, because I was one of the first people in college, I bought a DVD player, and I had DVDs, and no one else on campus had them. There were like 3 or 4 of us that everybody was always starting to come over and borrow them when they would get them in their laptops. That was the first place everyone had the DVD drives. And I remember on the Suicide Kings in particular, the director had all these sort of like, slight like 101 filmmaking kind of shorts about how they designed different sequences in Suicide Kings, and how even things like the tone of the music will change how your movie's perceived when you build your trailer, and how they showed 2 trailers back to back, one that had very sinister music that made it seem like it was going to be a big murder mystery movie, which is a little bit closer to what parts of it play out as, and then they had this other sort of much more slapsticky kind of comedy style music, and you thought it was just going to be like almost like an American Pie style comedy with a whole bunch of really kick-ass veteran actors. So that was eye-opening. And then they had one that was examining the Foley of the sequence where they're all on the rooftop rehearsing the kidnapping. And when they play the scene with no Foley at all, you're like, holy shit, none of that is being picked up when they're making the actual scene, like footsteps and like things like the jackets moving, like every single sound happening in the film. It's one of the things that even today watching movies, I very rarely remember how much of that layered sound we're hearing is actually built after the fact or not recorded while because the fact that it's so tight, like that sounds like his hand coming out of his pocket with a gun. You know what I mean? Because I'm seeing it all happening as I'm hearing it. And that's like the magic part of it. That's the whole reason we realize that these are we don't realize these are just moving. These are enough still images happening in succession that it just looks like they're moving. It's crazy when you think about the mechanics of how movies actually work. But ever since I saw that that behind the scenes, that extra feature, which is also one of the awesome things about DVDs, that they allowed so much of that to start getting shared with the audience, I had a much more, I think, heightened interest in building stuff like this and learning how to do it, because I remember when I didn't understand even how nonlinear editing worked. I'm like, how does all this shit happen? Like watching music videos on MTV going like, how is there a flame now? And how is the guy's face only appearing in the flame? And like, God damn it, how do they do this? How are they doing that with a camera? Well, they're not. They're using all this other shit. So that's kind of how the Foley work is, and especially with an audio drama, it's a big deal. Like there's times where you're like reading, you're like, all right, I wrote in a script that this is happening, and it's like something that doesn't have a very conventional sound to it. It could be any random thing. How do I get that to fucking come across? I have to build a cybernetic dog. I had to have all the sound effects of a robot dog fucking walking around doing robot dog shit. That was fun.
Have you written yourself in a corner at any point and then tried to work out how you're going to actually get a sound effect that's going to match that?
Yeah, and I'm waiting for the moment where I'm just like, all right, fuck this. I'm gonna have to go Foley this myself, and I'm gonna have to go outside. I mean, actually, some stuff accidentally got Foleyed that I was like, oh, that sounds great. And that was some of the scene when in the first episode, the cop is listening to the voicemail from his wife. That actually, the way we actually recorded that was the actress who. In that scene, actually, that's my mom playing the wife who's leaving the cop. She called my phone and left that voicemail. You know, she took the script up to her room, called my phone, left the voicemail. And then I took a digital recorder and walked out of the house to my car and had the recorder going the whole time in one hand. And then I pulled my keys out with the other hand, opened the door, got in the car, closed the door, and it was raining. So you're hearing raindrops hitting the roof. That all sounded so much better than the stuff that I'm finding on the stock audio sites. No offense, Audio Blocks. I mean, you guys are saving my ass for the most part. And Pond 5 too. I have to give them credit. Pond 5, I'm definitely finding some really cool shit on. But we have this whole thing that we just introduced in episode 3, which is the Tangent City Distraction Demons. It's a female roller derby team, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that they're involved with in the second season. And already I'm like, okay, there's not a lot of roller skating sounds on Pond 5 or on Audio Blocks. On Audio Blocks, there's none. So I have to look in GarageBand. That's the other place, too. The sort of last ditch is if there's nothing anywhere else, GarageBand usually has some stuff. But even GarageBand, over the years, and I think we're up to 10 now, GarageBand 10. Yeah. Over the years, the number of effects in the Foley folder have changed, have increased, decreased. Things have come and gone. There are times I definitely wish I still had my first iMac, because there were sound effects that I know were in there that I haven't seen, like interior helicopter. And you could just be inside a helicopter, the perfect balance of the blades being outside of a little bubble. And then as long as you telephone your voice, it sounds like you're speaking to each other through the headsets inside a helicopter. That shit's great. You know what I mean? Like, just having a scene take place in there makes it sometimes more interesting to listen to, because your mind automatically has to start picturing, well, what the fuck are they? What are they flying over? I don't know about you, but I always think James Bondish type shit when I hear helicopters. So it could be jungle, it could be frozen tundra, it could be desert. You know what I mean? It could be any of those things. And then it'll be the little clues in the dialogue that kind of give some of that away. But there's been a lot. There's a blog I discovered from an audio drama podcasting group I'm in that was talking about how you have to be careful not to write the dialogue too clunky, because you're trying to make up for the fact that you have no picture. And every once in a while, there have been times where I kind of feel like, I catch myself and feel like, oh shit, you're totally just telling the audience what's happening right there. You know what I mean? Like, I think some things, if you just have random sounds happen and don't necessarily explain them, people will get what's going on. And so far, I feel like that's what's happening. Unless everyone's just being super nice and not saying what's really happening when they're listening. Like, dude, I have no fucking clue what happened to that bank robbery. I'm like, okay, good. They shot a bunch of people. Did you get that part? Because that was the important part.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. When you read a lot of people that have put scripts up online, or they've maybe put like their first draft rather than actually editing it or anything, the dialogue is always so bad. It's always like, I walked in the room and I saw this. You're like, who the fuck is going to have said that?
That's when you hear people go, they were like saying their thoughts out loud. It's like, yeah, it was really notes to themselves to remember what they wanted that character to do. And they forgot to like erase them. You know what I mean? They left that shit in. And, I think there's definitely... people don't realize what it means for different things when you say like it's about being willing to do the work. Like the work with writing is writing enough that like you don't have to tell yourself, it's almost like I feel like when you write something like that into a scene, into dialogue, it's like you're actually reminding yourself so that when you reread it all makes sense. And it's like, no, if you're writing it to be something that's accompanied by a visual, then you're gonna have to trust the person putting the picture together, the DP and the director and the creative director, and you have to gonna trust them to take what you wrote here and come up with the appropriate matching picture. This is the art of collaboration, right? And I think there are some people, and it's you know, it's natural. It's not something that we're knocking somebody for, but eventually you grow out of it a little bit. The idea of, well, I wrote this and now this is like my child, and if anybody even says like, hey, change this, I'd be like, you know, I sent you the one script. I'm like, hey, it was like I hadn't slept in a day and a half and I was on a flight home from San Francisco. I just cranked this out. Could you like take a look at it and let me know if it's like okay, if it doesn't make any sense? And you're like, the only thing I could find is this. And it was like, it was a double use, you know, a word was used twice in a sentence that it shouldn't have been. But even that, you know, like there are people who would get offended by the fact that you would point that out or that you would pick that up. And it's like, well, all right, shit, you asked me to read it. Hey, didn't you ask me to read it to make sure that you didn't show it to the world with stuff like this in it? Like, you know, it's the same thing as people not even wanting to hear the truth from their close friends about like if they're being an asshole. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, dude, I'm the one who's supposed to be able to tell you that, and you realize I'm being real with you, so you stop being an asshole and not like fight me too. And so it's kind of the same thing with any kind of art like this, any kind of anything where you're making yourself vulnerable because you are kind of opening up to the world.
Yeah, but the time this episode comes out, it'll have been announced, so I'll just say it here anyway. So I got the audio clip back from Thomas G. Waits from John Carpenter's The Thing, The Warriors. He's acted opposite Al Pacino. You know, he's had a great career. And I sent him it, and literally he was on set directing something. So it was like a couple of hours later, he's like, I've got the file, I'll email it to you. And I was like, that's a bit quick when you were actually on set. And it was literally someone held his phone and he read the lines, sent it, perfect first take. But he reworded stuff so it fit his style of, I don't know what you'd say, dialect, whatever, his way of talking. So it fit him better.
Yeah.
So listening it back, I'm like, fuck, this is great. I'm a really good writer. Then I'm actually looking at the script going, yeah, I didn't fucking write half this.
Well, the thing is, though, what you put on the page is what made him do that, though. So there is this kind of in the ether, this thing where everybody's ideas are kind of like coming together and marrying, sort of, and it's like when you pour the cream in the coffee, like you'll never get them separated again, and now you have this new shit that is awesome, and if you drink it, it'll keep you awake. And it's like, to me, when you find a good team, that's when none of that shit bothers you. But if you find someone that you're not able to kind of meet on that creative plane, I think you also have to have the level of awareness to be able to kind of recognize that and say, listen, instead of either one of us starting to try to like blame each other for this not coming out the way we think it's supposed to, why don't we realize that maybe we're just not a great fucking fit for this thing to be working on this together. That's a tough one. I'm sure not a lot of people do that, but it's would help a lot of the time, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think for the show I'm doing, I think for some of the roles it's been important to audition, purely because there's some of the roles call for there being a bit of a range in acting ability, because there's roles in it I knew I couldn't fucking do. There's roles in it I knew that a lot of my friends couldn't do, so it was auditioning people. How did you go about working out who would be perfect for each role? Because so far, listening to the show, everyone is knocked out of the park.
Yeah, well, that's, for one, I think even the people who've never done this before all deserve a lot of credit, because they're awesome. And I think part of what I was doing, like especially like with yours, I knew I wanted something that was going to make the character be a very standout character. So having your accent would be huge for that, and knowing that you're a writer, knowing that you're going to be able to kind of see what I'm doing with the character, kind of like seeing the trajectory, and then telling you some of the things that I have idea-wise that I haven't even written yet. You know, so that was part of like how that choice was made. And then some people, from having worked with them, having podcasted with them, knowing what they sound like and how they speak, some of them I think sounded like they would fit certain parts better, and I was kind of, I guess, casting by ear mostly. Some people I wrote the parts directly for, trying to kind of play up to some of their strengths a little bit as well. So and I don't think that takes away anything from what their performance is. If if it's easy for them to get into that lane because it's something that's familiar, and then they're able to kind of apply that to this fake world that I'm building and bring their level of realism to it. Like Lynn's scenes are fucking awesome. I mean, I know they're on the long side, but they seem super authentic. Like I walked into the kitchen with the review episode, with the review file playing on my phone just to kind of hear it, because I didn't have my headphones, and I needed some coffee, and my mom heard it and she was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like she totally thought I was listening to some kind of self-help talk show, and I'm like, oh, it's Tangent City, and she was like, oh, and it was like that moment of like, oh wow, like okay, so it has this feeling of authenticity that's kind of selling that this is a real place, and if that is even achieved to a third of the level it's been achieved, it feels like each episode, then I'm happy, because that's the hardest part of season one, is sort of like setting up the idea that this is a real place. That when you're listening to the episode, you're actually kind of buzzing around this whole city. And I think I'm trying to find places where I think the voices need to be changed up. I'm doing a lot of side characters. I'm kind of the Seth MacFarlane of the project here, and I'm trying to do a lot to keep them different, even using a lot of pitch adjusting and stuff. But there's some people that like CJ, listening to Ripka when he's playing this like sort of used car salesman-ish kind of, but he's mentioned enough times that his family's been part of Tangent City for over 100 years. It's supposed to start introducing you to some of these characters that have deep roots here, and there's going to be significance to that. And so you kind of bring some of like his talk show presence into that, and let him kind of live in that skin a little bit, but putting on the guise of someone who's always trying to push their stuff and always wants you to come. I mean, like, dude, the way he hosts the parties for Tangent City, it was sort of like, wow, man, it'll be you would have thought I asked him to do this. And I was like, that's exactly it. That's sort of salesy kind of TV QVC kind of persona. Hopefully, allegedly, whatever you have to say for QVC not to sue us for using their initials. And it's you're taking a lot of old people's money, you motherfuckers. Yeah, so it's been sort of trying to match them as I'm writing, and then definitely as I'm coming up with new types of characters, and having spoken to people who've expressed interest in being a part of the show. I'm like, oh well, if you want to be a part of it, you've got this really deep kind of darker sounding voice. You'd be good for like a villain. Okay, I could bring that in. And then I was talking to a friend who actually did some acting in some of my scenes in college when I was in directing classes, and I was like, dude, you could do the English thing, right? And you got a couple different accents you could do. I was thinking about doing this like super prim and proper, like the Punisher meets John Wick meets the Kingsman kind of superhero, and I want him to be kind of talking down to the people he's beating the shit out of. So like as he saves somebody from getting sexually assaulted, he's like totally giving the guy like a lecture as he's kicking the living shit out of him. And I was like, we'll play off of the Grey Poupon commercials, we'll do all kinds of fun shit. And it was like, as I'm talking to him, he was kind of like, oh my god, this would be awesome. And I'm like, all right, here are some lines, record these and send them to me, let me see what it sounds like. And it was like, okay, this just worked. And I don't know if that was because of the sort of serendipity of us kind of coming up with the character sort of together, and me knowing a little bit, remembering what he was able to do when we worked together in college, which is another thing that's fun too. It's like I have a lot of Hollow Nine has brought some old friends from back in the day together that we were only like really just friends on Facebook for years. And then once this thing kind of started, anybody who is sort of thinking about wanting to get into radio or broadcasting or voice acting is suddenly like, oh, hey man, I would love to guest on your show. And I'm going, yeah, I need people. I always need new blood. I want to kind of keep the sort of momentum moving. So it's been cool. And especially like that was where I had done a lot of my dramatic work. A lot of my production work professionally has been much more in the sort of business world, a lot of more corporate industrial type stuff. And so it's been cool to kind of get back to not only working with them, but also working with them in a way of using those skills to do something a little bit more on the fun side, you know?
Yeah, and when it comes to the structure of your scripts, you have your own style.
That's pretty funny. I was always wondering what you think of these things when you get them, because I'm like, you've seen it all. You've seen everything from like the exact textbook perfect to totally off the street, never fucking touched a computer before in their life. And the funny thing is, before we go any further, I know that because I shared scripts with our friend Samson, he's like, "Oh, I totally used your style. I've never written a script like this before." And I'm like, "All right, dude, just be ready, man. If you show that to anybody in the industry, they're gonna be like, who the fuck showed you how to write that? Like, this is totally wrong. Like, I don't have no idea how it's supposed to actually go for audio drama, but for me, it was more, again, this is how I know that the shitty names and the stupid dialogue left in the scripts are notes to themselves. Like, to me, the sound effect list is just exactly that. It's a list of sound effects I'm gonna need when I'm editing this scene. And it's like, it's broken down into like, okay, coming up next, you're gonna need this group. It's like slightly timed, but it's not like, I finally did see a script on one of those blogs, and it was sort of like line of dialogue, then it says sound and the sound, and like, oh, that's how they fucking tell people how to be able to edit the show. Because I was like, how am I going to ever get anybody to edit this besides me looking at my scripts? I know that for me they work, but for other people they're going like, dude, what the fuck is this? And like, all these things happen, then the dialogue? No, dumbass. It's like, that is spread behind this. It's a fucking list. It's a key. It's not a fucking timed document. It's not a script.
Yeah, it's the format for audio dramas is fucking weird. Especially like you look at the difference between the American style and the UK style. The UK style is like just fucking by the numbers. It's like this noise happens, they say this. This noise happens after that, they say this. The American style is a little bit more like dynamic in the way that they describe the sounds, where in the UK it's just like car horn, then someone talks.
So like in the US it'll be like, we hear him slowly thumbing the hammer back on his Colt 45 revolver, and you're like, are you you had that exact revolver in mind when you were writing this fucking script? Bullshit. You know what I mean? Because that's the other thing, unless the script writer is a gun expert, that's I think, to me, one of the things that's fun about scripts is you can tell what people's area of expertise are by what gets highlighted. You know, like I remember when I was at Dragon Con, John Cusack was talking about Stephen King and how when Stephen King writes, he's like, he won't just say, oh, he pulled the toothpaste out of the cabinet. He'll be like, he pulled the lumpy tube of Crest, you know, like the half-used tube of Crest out. So now anybody who used Crest is like, oh shit, I know what that toothpaste looks, tastes, and smells like. I'm in the fucking scene. Anyone who didn't use Crest is just like, oh, all right, I guess it's just like my Colgate. You know what I mean? But it's like, for some reason, that detail stood out to him. I don't think that Stephen King wanted to be a dentist or anything. But for me, you know, when I'm thinking of the scene, the thing I'm thinking of the most is the dialogue. It's all about these characters. So that's why I try to write the dialogue as much like, I guess that's much more theatrical style, the way that I mean, I don't know. I also am justifying my fucking dialogue to the end of the person's name, not even to like, they're not even all justified to the same place. It's like Senator Eagler's name goes to here, all his fucking dialogue is justified to there. It's like Ben's name only goes to here, all his dialogue is there. So his fucking lines are like the whole page, whereas Senator Eagler's are only the half a page. And it's like, it looks like this guy's got a lot of dialogue, but it's probably about the same, you know? So I don't even know if you could count the page numbers in time the way that, you know, usually it's like 1-to-1 page per minute kind of thing in screenwriting. I don't know. I mean, some of my scripts that are like 3 pages long or 5 minutes long once they get edited with sound. And that's also not counting. It's not like I have a formula for the handles on the beginning or the end of the scene. It's like I ramp in the music, I ramp in the sound effect of the setting, and then we start the dialogue. Sometimes at the end, I find I want people to kind of sit with what just happened. So maybe there's 5 or 6 seconds of the music while all the rest of the sound drops out. And, you know, some people are kind of like, oh, was that a mistake? And I'm like, well, no. A whole bunch of people just got shot, you know, or this guy just told somebody else that this is going to happen, you know, like what are the implications of that? And I don't know, hopefully everybody's starting to string everything together.
Yeah, the little bit I've edited together, the Thomas G. Waite's speech that's in it. I won't say what his speech is because that gives away who he is in the show. But when I did that on the page, that's like this,
mm-hmm.
and there's like all this underneath it.
Yeah,
that's 30 seconds.
Oh wow!
It's like, how fucking long's that page?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy because we don't think about how long our dialogue, like when you're speaking to somebody, you don't think. I have become more aware of it because I'm sure when I'm doing it, I'm on a podcast and I go, okay, that person asked me a question 3 minutes ago. I haven't stopped speaking yet. And it's like, now is time to end whatever the fuck I'm saying, but then I think there are times in the past I obviously didn't have that ability. And I think there are people who don't have that ability. And then there are people who don't have that ability to talk for that long either. And I think there's got to find that happy balance. But it's, when you're doing the project yourself, it's a lot easier to say, all right, well, it doesn't 100% matter if I have my script format perfect, because the only people who see the scripts who need them are the actors, and they just need them for the dialogue. So, I mean, all that other stuff is there, and I'm hoping that you guys are using it and that it's helping you inform like what the hell's going on in the scene, because that's the thing too. I've noticed that one thing that I was super impressed with about everybody is that I give, I'll send them the script and I'll send like a blurb about, all right, this is kind of what's going on. This is what I'm thinking. And this is sort of what type of character you are. We admit to a certain level of cheesiness and campiness that is kind of inherent with the genres I'm playing with. But we're also taking ourselves just seriously enough that I think it still works, even though it's tropey. It works in the same way that Stranger Things works, the familiarity works. But shit, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. It's not like there's like a time limit, because there's like a window you have to fill, and then you have to put in advertising. It's like when you're the network and you're running the whole thing, you have complete control over how it goes. And that's one of the things Jennifer said too when we did the listening party for the first episode, was there's no one to tell us no. If we want to change the story and go in this direction, we do it. The only thing that would tell us no is if all of a sudden people like stopped downloading the show, or stopped tuning in for the live airings on Mile High, which so far has not been happening. So that's been pretty cool. And thank you to everybody out there who's been tuning in. That's been awesome to be able to kind of play TV producer a little bit here and see what it's like to kind of have an appointment entertainment thing happening again. And it's cool that people seem to be digging it. It's cool that people are reaching out to CJ, reaching out to Lynn, and asking when there's going to be more. I think CJ somebody said to him, why aren't they doing this more than once a week? And why aren't there more? And he goes, yeah, because people have day jobs, because we actually aren't networks and we aren't super rich and famous. We're kind of trying to get there. So if anyone wanted to Patreon us or PayPal us and donate, there's plenty of ways on our website to do that. So feel free. We won't turn it down.
Yeah. So when you come to writing, you're sitting down. You've got a certain period of time you've got in the day you can write. Do you write individual scenes, and then mesh them together once you've got a load of them, or do you write maybe one character's arc, or how do you work it?
I pretty much do one arc at a time, and it seems to me that it's been sort of almost like a little bit of a revolving door type of situation where it's like, okay, I wrote this scene. Part of it too, if there is any type of time pressure, it's been if I know like Samson went on vacation twice in the time since we've started recording. So there've been times where he's like, hey, I'm not going to be around after this day. So I'm like, oh shit, I better write his scenes for him. You know what I mean? And like the same thing, like Lorraine Clark, who is amazing. If you ever have the chance to work with her, she's fucking awesome. But it was like, I kind of said to her, hey, if I get you a scene by this time tomorrow, can I get it by like 2 days later? And when she says yes, I'm like, oh shit, now I got to get that scene done by that time tomorrow. Like she's got to have it in hand by that time tomorrow. Not only because I don't know if she's under a lot of time constraint either, but in my mind, the fact that so many people are willing to help out with this is fucking awesome. And I have, at the very least, I owe them the respect back to, like, if I say I'm going to do something by a certain time, I do it. And if something comes up, as soon as I know I can't do it, I have to let them know. And I think that's a little bit of something that kind of gets left by the wayside, especially when people are in a situation where it's not like a paid there isn't money backing the project, and there isn't like a leverage of you agreed to do this by this date because you're getting paid X, which God knows what we could go into a long philosophical conversation about what that says about people and humans, that we need to have a motivation of an artificial currency. You're not, your word is supposed to be enough. And I think enough people trade on their word and fail to deliver, that it's like, if you're trading on your word, you fucking have to deliver if you don't want to be one of those people. So, there's a lot of that too. But I think in general, there was a certain amount of like one story kind of, I think I've probably mentioned to you a couple times when we were talking just randomly, that there are a lot of times it feels like the story is revealing itself to me more than I'm writing it, which fucking demons and whatever, God knows. Who knows what's happening out there? Who knows how this all works? Who's programming the Matrix? But so there were times where a certain amount of it revealed itself to me, like one arc revealed itself first, and then when things would branch off of that, then they would start to kind of appear. So I got a certain part down the road writing one arc, and then another arc would surface, and then I've got Ari and the whole supernatural side, which a lot of it too is from random kind of like what if kind of conversations that I would have with Jennifer and Ari. A lot of it from when we were at Dragon Con. That was sort of the Hollow 9 coming out party when we had relaunched ourselves in July. Not too long after that was Dragon Con. And so that was where we were our first time like on the ground as the new Hollow 9. And I think so there was a lot of kind of banter back then about, oh wait, what about this? And what if we had a ghost story? And what if we had, and I was like, well, we definitely are going to have pirates in there. So that shit's happening. And that was the funny part too, because there were times even then where like Ari and Jennifer would give me this look like, how are you going to work pirates in? I'm like, just trust me, it's going to happen. And now that we're at the part where pirates are going to start coming in, they're like, oh shit. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's one of the things that I liked about the idea of it being about a place more than about one person or one group of people. The place is going to be littered with characters. Like, New York, it's, in my mind, Tangent City is kind of this amalgamation of New York, LA, Chicago, and Las Vegas. People want to throw Houston in there. There's a couple other cities you could throw in there, Seattle, anything that's got that kind of big city feel with a recognizable skyline. But knowing that there's all these different invisible borders that define different areas of the city, and because of that you can have all these different types of characters. And then New York, people just talk about New York, but there's upstate New York, which is still like you could see the city from it, so it still kind of feels like it's part of the city. So we have Fortress Mountain, which is just outside. It's not even outside the actual city limit, but it's far enough away from the city that it's a fucking mountain, like a desert mountain, like the Southwest. And that plays heavily into things that are going to come down the road for Tangent City, like especially when you all learn the origin story of why Tangent City is where it is. But so there's stuff like that you could still play with other locales, even though the thing is called Tangent City. I wanted it to kind of have that feel of like the MCU or the DCU. It's like there's all these places inside the worlds of those universes. So Tangent City, I think probably for a while for me is going to be the sort of the playground that a lot of characters I come up with are going to be from. Just the same way Stephen King has the Dark Tower, which is kind of like the central cyclone of all of his worlds kind of twisting together. I think Tangent City has kind of become that for me, at least for the time being.
And will you be writing spin-off audio dramas?
Yeah, we've already some of the ideas, and it's funny. Like we have spin-off ideas from things that we haven't done on Tangent City yet, that we have to wait now until we do them on Tangent City, unless we want to try and do a reverse spin-off. But then I don't know if people will dig it. There's only so much boundary pushing you can do with each project at one time. I think right now I have to say I'm amazed that people have tuned in to 3 hours of just sound, that is telling the same story that you would be seeing on like Game of Thrones. Usually that would be very heavily relying on, sweeping shots of establishing shots of like landscapes and locales. And instead we have more like soundscapes. And so that's why there's a lot of recurring themes musically for different characters and different storylines, just to have something to kind of grasp onto. And then maybe that'll start to change as characters change a little bit, you know?
Do you have a certain page count you try to get to when you're writing? I stick to the 10 pages a day, but that's just because I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I go for like number of scenes more than number of pages, because each scene represents a lot more progress in my mind than how many pages that scene is. Now, sometimes those scenes will be longer. You know, the longest page count we've had so far, scene wise, has been like 7.5 pages, and that was one of the scenes in the last episode, in episode 3. And that scene actually wound up only coming out to about 5 minutes, which is interesting. Because I think and again, I think that could be having to do a little bit with my margining, my weird margining that I'm doing. But I also think visually that makes it easier for each actor to kind of know, all right, my shit is over here, his shit's over there. um, but you know, it's more of like, how much did I get to the actors for them to be able to be getting? I want to have more stuff back that I haven't edited than stuff that I need to get out to them to record, so that I could keep moving. And that's one of the things, if we're talking about pros and cons, one of the big cons is the time commitment something like this requires, and how big a commitment it is, especially if you have a day job and then other shit going on like the holidays. So pick your timing well as a if you're doing it DIY style. If you're an indie producer, figure out a time that is, and I know it's impossible, there's never perfect never perfect time, but try to do it at a time where there's not going to be as much impact with other shit. Because you know, I could see if there were like family, kids, obligations, it would be a very difficult justification to make, like, oh, I'm doing this, you know, Hollywood level production and just audio, and I'm doing most of it myself. You know, there's definitely been a couple days in a row where it's like I disappeared down into the basement and come back out, and it was just as dark when I came out as it was when I went down there. And you're like, fuck, the earth rotated around the sun already. You know, I missed that shit. But at the same time, finishing an episode is a pretty awesome feeling. So in my mind, you know, I think that's what I feel like as my reward for fixing, you know, for putting this thing together. When they send me files back, they're waiting to hear the episode. And they're also too, I've been finding, especially for some of the people who are new to the acting world, not like I'm some old hand at this, but it's in particular, it's been the people that are just trying this out. There's a sort of anxiousness where they want to hear, did I do okay? You know, is it usable? Do I need to redo it? You know, everybody's kind of ready and standing by to redo it, which I think is great. But I also think I'd love to at some point everybody get to the point where they're like, yep, the shit's in the email, man, rock on, I know you're gonna love it. You know, it's like, I'd love everybody to start feeling comfortable enough with their characters. And it's funny, that's one of the things I think happened, what we were alluding to it on the call with Samson and we wound up doing a voice message chat back and forth over Facebook Messenger, and we were speaking in character voices. You know, he's speaking in Detective Ehrlich, I was speaking in Peyton the Hitman, and it was like for a good 10-15 minutes back and forth, we're speaking as if we're these other people. And I have a feeling that's the kind of thing that's going to just keep happening the more we do this. But you know, that is also very dependent on me getting the scripts out to everybody. So it always ultimately comes down to me having to manage my time as efficiently as I can. So it'd be nice to figure out a way to have some help in that arena down the road. So there will be a writer's room. Season 2, there's gonna be a writer's room and regular meetings and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think for a project as big as yours, a writer's room would be a good idea.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
you have a Bible in place for that type of thing, though?
There's a lot of notes. Nothing that's in a formal state of an actual Bible, which is a total betrayal of everything I was taught not too long ago by the amazingly talented Daniel Knopf, who, for anyone who's been living under a rock for all this time, he created Carnival on HBO, and until last season was an executive producer on NBC's The Blacklist. And I think he was also working on Supernatural for a while. he's got something else coming out too. He's done a lot of cool shit. I got to hang out with him for a weekend back in March, and he showed me the Bible he was working on with Wes Craven when Wes Craven passed away, and that really kind of hammered home for me like the massive undertaking that a show Bible is. You know, he told me, don't be surprised if something like that takes you like 18 months to do. And this is from like a veteran pro in my mind. You know, this is like a hero telling me this. So that was eye-opening, because a lot of a project like this is just all about figuring out a way to just say fuck it and do it, because it takes a little bit of audacity to just say, I don't know, man, I'm just going to figure out a way once we're down the road. Because, you know, I set myself a Thanksgiving deadline. I want this thing to launch at Thanksgiving in some way, shape, or form. And I had the first 2 hours done. You know what I mean? There's 7 more to go. Now we only have 6 left. And at the time it was like, well, do we want to start releasing them? I don't want to start getting the emails. Hollow 9 has historically had an issue with, you know, losing steam on something that would take this much effort. And, you know, we've seen the emails, you know, we've seen the comments like, what's up with all the hiatuses? You know, I'm getting tired of this. Please don't do that again. So I didn't want to do that with Tangent City per se. And that's what why Mile High was awesome to kind of come through and not only just be part of the mix but just to agree, like, yeah, we would love to kind of showcase your show. And so like we could kind of do this appointment thing and get some buzz going, get some kind of talk about town. And then like at New Year's, we'll release the first 5 hours. We'll actually, in our first season, we'll do a Walking Dead mid-season break. You know what I mean? And we'll let everybody start downloading and rediscovering, those who didn't catch all the live airings, rediscovering the first 5 hours, and then come back for the final 4 a month later. And hopefully by then we'll just be able to go 4 weeks in a row. And then season 2, we do the Netflix model where everything is done, everything's locked, everything's in the can before the first episode goes out. And then I'm sure we'll partner up with Mile High Radio again and do a 9-week in a row run, and then have all the episodes downloadable. And then we'll have to find some kind of premium to put on Patreon behind the paywall to really like get the cool kids like something on the inside, you know, like a fan club about the shit.
Do you think that's a lesson you've learned from doing season 1, to have it all recorded before releasing it?
Oh my God, dude, it's crazy. that is huge, and it's a rookie mistake. I totally, you know, I knew that was a dumb thing to do, but I think for me, a lot of what Tangent City is also a personal challenge, and I think if I didn't give myself the Thanksgiving deadline, there would never have been a deadline. And now that came and went, and that we not only did episode 1, we did episode 2, took 2 weeks, got episode 3, and realistically looked at it, said, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get another episode for at least another 2 weeks, but that puts us at New Year's with that time in the middle there where everybody's around. We could probably get some stuff recorded. Maybe we could do 4 and 5, and then we'll cut it off there. But Lynn was pretty smart. You know, I think everyone's going to be out doing stuff on New Year's, but I don't know, maybe the streaming crowd would be into it. Maybe we could do some kind of special something. I don't know. We'll see. If the episode's ready, maybe we'll still record it, talk them into it. We'll see. But, you know, I like treating it that way, though. I like treating it like this sort of like, oh, it's a New Year's Eve special. You know what I mean? Oh, it's our Thanksgiving weekend special. We're launching the show. But, you know, a big part of this whole thing, too, is just the fact that so many people came together and we actually have a show to release. You know, this would have been substantially harder if it was just me and like 1 or 2 other people. So, you know, I have no delusions that this is only possible because all these people are so cool and talented and willing to make fools of themselves a little bit with me, and, you know, try to not feel too self-conscious while doing it.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd like to champion here is, at no point did you have to go through a publicist to get any of the voice actors. So one of those to the publicists out there.
Oh shit, yeah, but see, like that's the thing, you know, you've got access to that tier of the industry where there is that barrier, you know, there's that sort of like, hey, yo. And those are also the kind of people that would never do a project like this for free, not even because they don't want to, but because, you know, what their contract with their management says, you know, or whatever, union rules, whatever. There's like a whole slew of things that don't even cross your mind when you just have a cool idea for a story.
Yeah.
So So there's a lot of that shit to learn how to get cool with dealing with. You're not going to be able to get around it ever, I don't think. Even the big dogs are getting caught being assholes these days. So, that is that aside, you have to be ready for gates and gatekeepers. And so, yeah, I've been very lucky that there's been all this talent available and willing to do the project based on passion and credit. And we are putting an IMDb page together for it. It's going to be a legit thing. So, and I hope people are proud of it. I hope people are proud of being part of it and of the final product and what they hear and what they've done. I know the kid actors are all really into it. They're like, it's like kind of like a time of their lives kind of thing for them. So that's pretty awesome to see. And they're fucking awesome. Like what they're coming up with is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's a good showreel for people that are wanting to get into voice acting as a career.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually had a few people who are already participating, and I don't know if they've shown the script to their friends or their friends were around while they were recording, but we're at that point where we're actually having people going, oh, hey, I have a friend who said they would totally do it just for the exposure, or I have a friend who can do French accents if you need an accent person. They said they'd love to do this. And, just to do the full give back thing too, obviously, we've talked about me playing a part in yours, and Samson, Samson and I'm playing a part in his. So, this is all part of, with Hollow 9, we have our whole partners page. We have this whole concept of, once we've done a few things together, it's like you're part of the network now. You get a banner on the page. And so I think there's something kind of cool about translating that also into this, like we're also jumping around into each other's shows and helping each other kind of each create our own versions of our own, series. And who knows, maybe this is kind of like a new Netflix for consumable audio.
Could be a way to go.
Yeah, nothing like dropping their name a whole bunch of times to get them to maybe pay attention to this.
Well, the way I see it is Tangent City's purple. It would cost a fucking fortune to make it live action TV.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It is perfect for an animated adaptation. You think something like Archer, you do probably slightly better animation. You just shit on Archer there a wee bit. And I think that would be a show that would be huge on Netflix.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, one of our kid stars, Ghost Girl herself, to my complete surprise and delight and pleasant surprise, she said it reminds me of something like the MTV oddities back in the day, like the Max, which was one of my favorite things. Again, so to show that MTV used to have this whole sort of creative culture about it, they would have these really edgy kind of cartoons adapted from comic books, and the Max was really like a David Lynch for kids, almost not even for kids, really for adolescents and young adults. And so to hear somebody who's like 15 years old say, oh yeah, Tangent City would be perfect for that kind of a treatment, it's like, whoa, like oh my god, that's like cooler than someone just saying yeah they'd want to play the part. Like that's taking sort of, I mean, Liquid Television is a huge influence, and all of the MTV oddities kind of started as part of Liquid Television. So, to kind of already be kind of striking chords that might be in that realm is cool. And have somebody that young pick up on that is cool too. So I would hope that would be attractive to a Netflix or like an Amazon or a Hulu or somebody who, I mean, I know live action is a big thing, and all of these places do have animation, but I don't know how many of them are doing a lot of original animation,
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be awesome to get this turned into a cartoon.
With so many folk in Hollywood being dodgies at the moment, they're going to run out of programming soon.
Seriously. And you're right, like you're not having to pay as much for the talent because it's not on screen, it's voice. I'm sure the whole scale system is a little bit different there.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit easier to take a risk on something. And I think that there's something to be said for this idea, when people have been asking me lately, like, why are you doing this? Or if you had 30 seconds in an elevator with somebody to pitch this, and it's like, do you want, they have Audible, which is books for your ears. It's books that you can read with your eyes closed. Well, what about TV that you can watch with your eyes closed? What about movies kind of specifically designed for the commuter crowd? or who are people who have like an hour door to door where they're just going to be listening to music, and maybe it's even too cramped to really read a newspaper or a book comfortably. You've got this whole other type of programming you can have now, which is going to, we're doing the same trick Spielberg did with the shark and Jaws. We're letting your imagination fill in the picture. You could say that in some ways is lazy, that we're making you do work, but it's the same when you read a book. So in my mind, it's very much, if you're already doing shit with Audible, you're already listening to books on tape. This is just another type of book on tape. It's just a TV show on tape.
Yeah, and for me, something like a horror film adaptation into audio drama would work great, because you could work in the tension really easy, just all the sound effects. Like, people go and watch all these fucking horror films and all they are is a jump cut, a jump scare every bloody 10, 15 minutes. You could do that piss easy in an audio way.
Just little booms coming out of nowhere, like everything's quiet, just a little violin, and bah! Like something loud happens. It's very old school, but it gets the point. And that was one thing, there's a certain level of having to get creative, like especially with the sound editing and the sound design. And so like when I think Samson took a shot, it was like, oh yeah, a taser that sounds like Frankenstein being resurrected. I'm like, yeah, but you knew it was a taser, and that's like the most important part, and so sometimes you kind of have to, I think, in the sort of stuff to be ready for, you have to get used to making some compromises that you're going to get called out on, but almost by the virtue of the fact that you're getting called out, that the compromise kind of wound up working. So it's a little bit of one of those weird games where you have to have a certain type of thick skin. I think if you have thick skin to everything, it lets you get walked all over, but because people can manipulate you. But I think that if you have a certain level of thick skin and then can train yourself to be okay with the risk involved with how much that, it sucks when people when people don't like your stuff, and we all don't like other people's stuff plenty to know that it's going to happen to ours too. But you'd hope that more people like it than don't. So you just have to kind of be ready, so steal your fucking reserve out there, man.
What would be advice for someone that's looking to sit down and write their first audio drama script?
Yeah, decide if you're going to edit it yourself or if you're going to try to find somebody to edit it. Like, if you, how much of this are you willing to take on? How much are you going to jump in the game? Because I think if you're looking to write, you could write it and try to sell it and then let it become anything. And if it's something you want to write and then you want your voice to be part of it, then you should probably know a certain amount of how much of it you can do yourself. There's to very trepidatiously go down the J.J. Abrams road. There's a lot that's available to everybody, like with your phone, or with your computer. If you buy a Mac, this is why a lot of people who talk shit about Apple and Macs, I know I tend to get a little defensive right away, and people tend to feel like, hey, dude, I was just kind of joking. But you know what? These tools come equipped, you know what I mean? And it's like, there wouldn't be a Hollow 9 network if there wasn't Mac. If I didn't have Macs, there wouldn't be a Hollow 9 network. And so, when you have things like GarageBand coming with the thing for free, that's fucking fine for a while. You know what I mean? Until you're in a position where you have money to spend on Pro Tools and all the other stuff, it's like, fucking use GarageBand. It's got all this shit in it. It's got the sound effects. It's got music. You know what I mean? Like, it's royalty free. They want you to use it. They want you to create it. This is the work. So, figure out how much work you want to do. Because you can write it and then find other people to do the work. But that's where you start to have to become comfortable with collaboration. Because if you don't have any, you gotta know where the leverage is. If they've got the skills that you don't have, just because you have the script, they could probably find someone else to write a script. Maybe they could write a script too. Like, part of the reason I feel like as comfortable just kind of doing shit as I do is because I've been working in production for 15 years. I've been writing since I was in grade school. So at some point, those things just have to start working in concert together. So there's not as much I need outside of the talent and all the people that bring it to life. And if you're not in that position, you have to be ready to navigate from the position you're in. And I'm not trying to talk down. I'm just saying, like, know where you are. If you're one of the people, everybody, there's a reason they call it the Great American Novel, right? Because everybody in America has got a novel buried deep inside them. And once they have that long vacation or that time off from work or that retirement, they're going to fucking write the novel. It's like a lot of people have the first 10 pages of that novel written and they don't have anything else after that. So, that says a lot. So be ready. This is going to be one of those look in the mirror things. All that said, have fun with it. Make sure you actually have an idea and do it. Like if you're thinking about writing is the easiest of all the things to do. So just write.
Yeah.
There was a TV writer / producer named Quentin Peebles who I used to podcast with, and he was telling me once, writing, you have to look at it like the same as when you're going to the gym to work out your body and to get in shape. Like you're using all your muscles, and as soon as you stop using them, they atrophy, you start to get out of shape, and writing is the same way. So, a lot of writing is happening in your mind, even if you're not typing it or putting it on the page, but it can't always just stay at that level. You got to take that next step of, okay, commit it to record it, record it into your phone, record it into a digital recorder, type it, text it to yourself, email it to yourself. There are so many ways everybody is connected that it's not like you have the excuse of I couldn't find a pen and paper. Like, write the shit, get it out of your head. And then you never know, you might show it to somebody who says, I know somebody who can do this for you, or I know somebody who could record this, or, you should do this voice, I'll do this voice, let's do this. It's once you do it, once it stops talking about doing it and doing it, once you go beyond talking about it or thinking about it and do it, you'll be surprised how much happens as a result of that. That's like you kicking a stone and it just starts rolling down the hill and it'll become an avalanche soon enough. And when it becomes a big enough avalanche, you won't be able to be stopped and the fucking world will have to recognize you. That's the dream. That's what I'm hoping on. There's still some piece of that left out there that we'll get to see with Tangent City before the world comes to an end here.
For me, my advice would be know your characters, because as with a film or TV show, if it's got three-dimensional characters, people will kind of overlook the plot holes.
Right.
If the characters are shit, they notice everything.
True. And there will be plot holes. I think it's impossible to write without plot holes eventually.
Christ, I think I've written films that are just entirely plot holes.
It's the hole within the hole that's actually connecting the first to the second. It's great. It actually kind of works. At the end of it, you're just like, I don't know what I watched, but I'm happy.
I remember one of the scripts I sold. I remember when they made it with the plot hole in it, which was a character dies in the first act and he's in the third act in the film.
Inexplicably, no, not a ghost, not a dead person,
just turns up.
No time travel, just all of a sudden, hey, this fucker's alive, guys. This guy faked his own death to avoid paying child support or some shit. That's the sequel or spin-off movie.
Yeah. So where can people find you online?
Well, we've got hollow9.com, which is the word hollow, the number 9ine.com. That's the central nervous system of the Hollow 9 network. Everything is pretty much there. But from there, you can also follow us to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Find us on Facebook under the Hollow 9 network. It's usually it's the number 9 on a brick wall, but it's a cool looking brick wall. Right now it has the Fight the FCC angry face logo because fuck the FCC. And you can find us on Twitter at Hollow9Cast. Again, it's the word hollow, the number 9, INE. What else? We have some Gmail. We have info at hollow9.com. We have hollow9podcast at gmail.com. And we have a Redbubble store where you can get t-shirts of all of our shows. We also have a bunch of affiliate links. So if you guys are still doing some holiday shopping and wouldn't mind clicking through to Amazon from our page, that would be fucking awesome. But don't feel obligated. We're just throwing that out there, like for fun, if you wanted to support us kind of thing. If you like what you heard here. I guess I should also at the end disclaim that everything I'm saying is all my own opinions and doesn't reflect the greater whole of the Hollow 9 network or any of its employees, affiliates, or partners. Don't hold them accountable for shit I say.
Hold Mile High Radio accountable for everything I say, though.
There you go. That's what happens. That's the risk they took.
It's their mistake, not mine.
Hey, man, pros and cons to everything.
Hmm?
And cons are consequences.
Well, it's been awesome having you on Pros and Cons. On the next episode of Pros and Cons, we've got Doug Richardson, who wrote Hostage, Money Train, Die Hard 2, and Bad Boys.
Money fucking Train, dude.
Yeah.
I love Money Train.
He also weirdly wrote, is it Welcome to Mooseport, whatever it was called, the Rare
Oh, no shit. Yeah. Well, tell him I said what's up, because Money Train is the shit. I love Money Train. And actually, one of the best he should check out, and I know I hawk these guys a lot on Hollow 9, but the We Hate Movies episode about Money Train is fucking superb. Like, oh my God, it'll make you want to watch that movie again so fucking bad. So, yeah, man, tell him I said what's up for real. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think I wrote a blog about Money Train once saying it was white men can't jump on a train.
Exactly. I mean, that's why it's so fucking good, dude. That's why it's so fucking good. And Woody Harrelson is just like a total piece of shit. Like, I don't know why I'm rooting for this guy. He's a fucking moron. Dude has the money to pay off his debt. Like, to me, I see shit like that. I go, yeah, see, that would be like me. Someone just hands me an envelope full of cash, says, pay off your credit cards. And then I go and just like let somebody take the money. Like, come on. I love Money Train. That and fucking what's his name? Shit, the guy who was Blake, fucking the one who was accused of murdering his wife. I think he did murder. He hired somebody to murder his wife. Robert Blake.
Robert Blake, yeah.
Allegedly.
I forget he counted, don't he? Is he in jail for it anyway?
Is he in jail? I think I don't know. I thought he was found not guilty or something, but maybe they did. Maybe
they're not going to celebrity jail, so he's just basically at some great rehab type place.
Yeah, where they're not allowed to sexually assault anybody anymore. Aw. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, we've probably offended someone with the end of that.
I was gonna say that went to a weird place real fast, man. I'm sorry. It's all because of Money Train. I took the Money Train.
You took the Money Train to Weinstein country there.
Ah, shit! Who knew it would stop there? Why do trains still go to Weinstein country?
He has the look of a guy that's ran the train before, though, doesn't he?
Jesus. Wait, which one? Weinstein or your guest next time?
Weinstein.
I was like, dude, I was like, he's not even here and you're saying this shit about him. This should be the promo. Here's the guy from before the guy I'm promoting, but we did this perfectly. Here. Like, we wrote it. We planned it.
The weirdest thing is, it's the third time he's going to have been on a show with me.
I guess, you know what, man? It's that torture you don't mind. You know what I mean? It's the torture. You're like, I'm cool with this today. It'll be fine. Today's the day.
Well, as always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. This was a blast. I hope it was what you were looking for. I feel like we just started talking and I just blabbed for an hour like I usually do.
That's what makes a good show, though.
Well, all right. If you say it. If you said so.
So we'll say cheerio to the audience.
Oh, 9.
And I'll try and work out how the fuck I stop one of these again.